really had to run. Coming through, it's time to put it on ya. Protest here, riot going on ya. Put the check for the...
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. It is the Friday edition, the getaway edition, with so much going on, as we always seem to say here, right? Lots going on. Well, it is a lot going on, and from graduations and proms to court cases and more. Because we start Friday with some crazy news out of Tennessee. What happened yesterday was absolutely atrocious, and most people watching said, "Shouldn't this guy, Tony Carruthers, should never have been in this position in the first place." Tony Carruthers, of course, was they botched his execution yesterday. They attempted to execute him, um, but it turned out a chaotic scene. More than an hour, jabbing, probing, and searching for a vein to stick the needle in him. Um, they couldn't find the vein, and the failed execution of him failed. It came only after the Supreme Court refused to intervene, despite urgent claims from his lawyers that the state could be using expired execution drugs and attempting to put to death a man they say suffers from severe mental illness and paranoia. Raises the questions about the mentally ill and the death penalty as well. But witnesses describe repeated attempts to insert IV lines before officials called off the execution, which, of course, there was more outrage. They failed to test these drugs, and his lawyers and others proved to be right. That they was not working properly at all. He's 57 years old. He was convicted in 1994 of killing Marcellus Anderson, Delois Anderson, and Frederick Tucker. But his attorneys and advocates have argued fiercely for years that the case relied heavily on testimony rather than physical evidence such as DNA or fingerprints. And they said that none of that ever conclusively tied him to the crime. His lawyers also argued that his mental condition left him incapable of properly defending himself, making him the first person in more than a century to face execution after effectively being forced to represent himself at trial. But once this thing happened yesterday, and once the execution failed, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee granted him a 1-year reprieve. A 1-year reprieve. Said that we'll try again in a year. And I was always under the impression that once the execution failed, that was it. But I guess that's not the case here. But that was always the impression, that if an execution failed, then the person was no longer eligible to be put to death. But the governor says he'll give them a 1-year reprieve. Maybe in that 1 year they'll finally get to the truth, because apparently there's a lot was wrong with this case. A whole lot. Happy Swag Hoodie Day. Orange is rocking Pine Bluff, Arkansas Pine Bluff. In the 90s, that man said during a jailhouse interview he will never be executed. Wow. And alas, here we are. They tried to put him to death, and it failed. But again, My impression of the law was that once you tried and failed to execute someone, that the execution was now off the table permanently for that, particular crime. But I have to look that up because I was always certain that that was the case. But of course, we're talking about a black man. So does the law apply? I'm just perplexed that they would be so gun ho. Oh, RNG says that was for the electric chair. Um, Here I'm reading. I'm not sure what state is this. It says when an execution fails or is botched, the procedure is usually halted by prison officials, of course, and the inmate is returned to their cell. Depending on the severity of the malfunction, a temporary reprieve or stay is frequently granted while the state investigates the protocol failure. Um, wow. Okay, I see. Yeah. It says in some historical cases, the state has scheduled a new execution date and used the exact same method. Wow. But I think, yeah, and so it looks like what you're saying here, RNG, that the electric chair isn't they talk about humane. How can an electric chair be humane? I remember was it Utah in 19 I wanna say 78, Gary Gilmore was, put to death by a firing squad. He chose the firing squad, I believe. But it seems to me that if, picking your poison, that the lethal injection could be done quite simply, right? You and humanely in that they can give a hospital drug to knock a person out, which they don't they don't do that, which I don't understand, and then administer the lethal dose. I mean, because you go for surgery or procedure like a colonoscopy or something, you're out. You don't feel a thing. You don't even know anything. You don't even dream. You're out. You're just out. But folks, the inhumanity is crazy. Mike V says, "I'm not sure if we should be expecting anyone at this point." Hmm. It's just absolutely, insane. And this guy was forced to represent himself, Tony Carruthers was forced to represent himself, and there's no real pushback as to his mental illness or mental state, and you go with the death penalty? You cannot in any way, shape, or form ever convince me that had nothing to do with race. It had everything to do with the fact that he's a black man and a young black man at the time. We heard that Florida warden, last week in the case of the guy who killed Julio Fulio. "Oh, he's young. He's healthy. We need people like him, put him to work. He needs to be out in the fields." I There is no value except death or working in the fields that these racists put on black lives. Remember Donald Trump, uh, when you're talking about the immigrants, somebody's gotta he wasn't really talking about the immigrants, he talking about the black folks. Those are the black jobs that he talked about out in the field. You know, that's where they're coming from. And speaking of, listen, for all you Waka Flockas, Chili's, and Nelly's, and Lil Wayne's, and uh, others, Byron Donalds, Clarence Diamonds of the world. Um, this is what Donald Trump is all about when it comes to your skin color, those who look like you. God forbid if anybody ever looked like Lil Wayne. They talk about Flavor Flav. Flavor's my boy, but Lil Wayne, it looked like he looks like a roach. Um, but the outright racism is it's amazing from the Oval Office. Let's take a look at this. This is a good segment here, Uncle Luke. Uh, check
I
it.
think you go back and the players that got the $12 million, a 17-year-old quarterback that got 12 million, one got 14 million. I hear they're negotiating one at $18 million. Who's they don't know if he's got an accurate arm, but he's got a strong arm, coach. Accuracy counts too. They have no idea. They're going to give him $18 million. And you know what? Those guys that already signed contracts, you know what? Call that the lotto. They hit the jackpot. Let them have their money. You can't do anything about it. But I'd like to see, and I tell you, I just don't think it's right that a judge is allowed, that knows nothing, is allowed to destroy college sports and colleges.
They're talking about scholarships. Who gets scholarships? Players. In the sports that people watch, who are getting the scholarships? Black players, basketball, football. They just started giving everybody a scholarship in baseball. But these are sports that generate billions of dollars in revenue. Billions of dollars in revenue. These are the sports. So ain't nobody talking about this. That's him creating an executive order because, oh, how much money y'all gave out, Bob? Oh, we gave out $1 billion in scholarship. Well, hell, goddamn it, did you add up the other scholarships, the academic scholarships? Did you add up the overseas scholarships? Did you add up the scholarship, all of the elected officials' money that they grandfathered in the Yale and Harvard and all that? Did you add all that up? No, but you worried about sports, football, basketball.
I think you go back and
since when does NIL deals and scholarships for athletes become a matter for the president to get involved? The president of the United States. This guy has his mission. If it's, I don't understand how it's not clear, how it's not been clear. His mission has been back to the fields to all you. This is the guy that fired a four-star general with tons of experience, then leads the country into several wars. He only fired the four-star general simply because he was black. And that's a fact. That's not a guess. He fired the amazing Librarian of Congress simply because she was black. He knew that many in the black middle class was able to maintain and have that middle class status because they had federal jobs. And what did he do? Immediately taking office, dismantled that. And we can go on and on. I mean, those are just minor examples. In fact, they just said that they're going to. He's making a provision where even more. It was like 20,000 more South Africans can come over. Because remember, he said that they are being discriminated against blacks in South Africa. the blacks. And yeah, this NIL, he says, going to be over with in 2 years. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they keep talking about the president's poll numbers, which are almost non existent on the positive side. But it doesn't matter because you got all these goons and coons that are going to make sure that this guy doesn't go anywhere at all. It's like you had this idiot woman, black woman, and I wanted to say it was in Chicago, talking about that taking no one's trying to take the vote away from black voters. She could vote. It's a myth, she says. Did anybody pay you to be that stupid? I mean, did anybody? What did they give you to be? Well, you on crack? Because she didn't seem like she was on crack, and she didn't seem like anybody paid her. That's what made it bad. So, we get on these celebrities, and rightfully so. These wealthy celebrities and wealthy black folks, and rightfully so. But it's just as bad when you got somebody living in the projects talking stupid like that. I mean, you're living in the projects. You're broke. You're bumming cigarettes off people. Having card games so you could try and take the $7 that your neighbor has. Playing the numbers, hoping to get nigga rich. And it only lasts you a couple of days. You could be queen of the ghetto. And you talking about black people are not harmed by this. You don't feel it. Of course you don't feel it. You're paying $20 a month in rent, and you behind 4 months on that anyway. Come on, I know her type. Orange, he says Nick Saban went to Trump and complained to Trump. Saban, the same Saban who ate greens and cornbread at a black player's house, so the black player would attend Alabama at 100%. And the NAACP has called on black athletes to do exactly what you're saying, Orangey, is to stop going to those schools unless and until they come to their senses. Southbound says, I bet our black athletes still will run to these white institutions when they are seeing in real time what's going on. Yeah. And the thing is, like I said the other day, they can get the bag at a HBCU now. They may not, NIL and all, the corporations may punish them for not going to Alabama or whatever. But you got the talent. You'll get that NFL or NBA contract. You'll get that. But more importantly, you take this stand, and they'll let this go quick. If that really happened, the black athletes would stop going to these Alabamas and schools like that. They say, no, we're withdrawing. We're not doing. We're going to FAMU or HU or Morgan State, Hampton. Oh, you best believe it's like the whole go back in history. You have to give these Negroes a history lesson. The Montgomery bus boycott, and what people don't realize with the bus boycott, it did not yield the results in a day or a week or a month or a few months. It took a year because they were hurting badly. They were hurting badly, and they caved to the black movement. It's just asinine. If you have this talent, if you have this talent, you have nothing to worry about. As Orange G pointed out, Nick Saban going to the black folks house because he want this player badly, and he eating cornbread and collard greens. Probably went home and regurgitated it all, gave it back as it were. Took a bath and all. He's at them Negro's house trying to convince this boy and his mammy and pappy play for us so we can make money off of him, off his back. When Nick Saban really would love to take skin off his back more than give him money. That's just the way it is. And people say, and I was convinced of something a long time ago, but even more convinced now as more things have popped up. People, I've heard even like Russell Simmons, and Howard Stern and others say, this is not the Donald Trump I knew. Yes, it was. I didn't, I was thinking about that. And I said, I could, okay, makes sense. But then you look at Donald Trump from the 80s. Well, we can go back to what his father and he did with the housing discrimination, but then the Central Park Five, and you fast forward, of course, he still wants to execute it, although they're totally innocent. But then there was other things. I saw interviews, and one particular interview really, really stood out to me. And that was an interview he did, and I think it was 1991. So it goes back a long way, long before he got into politics. And it was I'm going to show you a little bit of that interview. I don't know if they're going to ding me for it or not, but let's take a look.
Book, The Art of the Deal, was at the top of the bestseller list for weeks. Donald Trump may have his problems, but he's not a quitter. A lesser man might have thrown up his hands at the events of the last several months. Trump's answer is bravado.
Here goes nothing.
Can't fast forward.
Failing at the top.
Well, I think what the press has done is taken a situation where they see something and blown it to kingdom come. I've never seen anything like it. Whether it's a marriage, by the way, or whether it's financial, I've never seen press reporting as I have with regard to me. And I hope the general public understands how inherently dishonest the press in this country is.
As a member of the press, let me try to clear up some of the things which you say are untrue. You write in your book, my bankers and I worked out a terrific deal that allows me to come out stronger than ever. I see the deal as a great victory, and eventually the rest of the world will too. Being on the verge of bankruptcy, being bailed out by the banks,
Well, you don't have to say on the verge of
skating on
bankruptcy.
thin ice and
Yeah.
almost drowning, that's a businessman to be admired.
You say on the verge of bankruptcy, Barbara, and you talk on the verge, and you listen to what people are
I
saying.
talk to your bankers.
Well, that's fine. And what do they say? I mean, depending on which banker you're talking to, what do they say? The deal I worked out is in the process. The deal I worked out is something that I think is good for everybody. The economy is down the tubes. Nobody knows how bad the economy is. I listen to the people on Wall Street talking about the possibility of a recession. We're not in a recession. We're in a depression. Now, when you're in a depression, you have to sort of go with the punches. You have to go see your banks. You have to deal with people. You have to work things out. And there are a lot of people. Unfortunately, I'm the only one people write about. I mean, they don't write about other people.
You have a little more debt than most people. You're something like $3 billion
I
in
also
debt.
have a little more assets than most people.
Okay.
You know, it's a sort of an interesting phenomena. I have many friends. They are negotiating with their banks the same as I am. And I always say to them, how come you never get any publicity? You don't end up on the front page of the various garbage
They weren't on the
tabloids.
front pages to begin with. They don't have 50 magazine
I'll
covers
tell you,
behind.
they also
know.
don't end up in the Wall Street Journal, and I do.
Let's try to be accurate.
Go ahead.
Some of your friends have told us that you deliberately missed a payment on the Trump Castle debt so that you could negotiate this deal with the bank. Is that true?
Did I deliberately miss it? In other words, did I just say I'm not paying it?
Yeah,
for a
because then I
specific
can
reason?
deal with my banks and I can get short-term, agreements over the long term.
Well, I don't want to comment as to whether or not I deliberately missed
Why
the
not?
payment.
That's
I think that the deal that's been worked out is a fair deal. The cast.
I can go on with that interview, but check it out. It's from 1990, actually, August 1990, and there was a lot more revealing stuff than just the financial stuff. But here's that, and that also shows you what's missing today. There's no journalism anymore. There's no interviewers that's going to hold him or most people's feet to the fire anymore. Barbara Walters was not messing around. She called him out. And that's just the way it was. But you get, like I said, so many people. And Mike V said it. There's always some black person looking to absolve him of history with black folks, and that's just, it's absolutely insane. And it's like about that idiot from the projects, but then you got like idiots like Nelly who, do you really need to do it? Idiots like TLC. What's her name? Chili. I mean, does she understand what what she means to him? She mm, I don't use certain language. and even certain references. Because given his way with her, yeah, she'd be really chasing waterfalls way out of the rivers and lakes she's used to. The commissioner of the SEC hasn't said a word. Orangey says the commissioner of the SWAC and MEAC are quiet too. One player from Mississippi State in 2020 told Mississippi State, "I will not play if that state flag remains." The flag was removed and changed all because black players were not going to play in the SEC school in Mississippi. And again, once you take that stand, all right, Dr. Nicole, I was trying to understand what you were saying, but once you take that stand, and take a real stand, you get results. But folks are all about themselves and not looking at the bigger picture at all. And it's easy to see the bigger picture today, but it's whether or not you care. And speaking of, down in Arizona, or out in Arizona, this has been more than 10 years after federal courts found that the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, they found him guilty of racially profiling Latino drivers under former Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Now, a court-ordered audit accuses the department of blowing through about $163 million in taxpayer money while falsely blaming the cost on reforms meant to stop discrimination. According to ProPublica, an Arizona luminaria, investigators found the sheriff's office charged taxpayers for luxury office renovations, an $11,000 golf cart, tasers, cable TV subscriptions, horse related expenses, and other costs that auditors said had little or absolutely nothing to do with complying with the racial profiling settlement. The audit found that more than 70% of the spending tied to reforms was improperly attributed or outright misuse. So this racial discrimination audit, we're going to blow on taxpayer money. We're going to horses and and what's going to be the consequences? Somebody tell me what the consequences are going to be. It's not going to be any consequences. In Virginia, you remember the kid who the 6-year-old who shot the teacher, and the teacher sued, and the kid's mom was went to jail. Well, a judge on yesterday threw out the criminal charges of child neglect against the Newport News, or the former Newport News assistant principal Ebony Parker, despite evidence that school officials received repeated warnings that this 6-year-old may have a gun before he walked into the school. The teacher, Abby Zwerner, she had sued, I believe, she got like $10 million. Well, she sued Parker actually, and Parker was found civilly liable to pay her $10 million. They convicted the mother on gun-related charges. I think she was convicted. Yeah, she was convicted on neglect charges as well. But the assistant principal, why the assistant principal has always been my it's always been my question. Why not the principal? Why not the school district? I mean, this teacher went after the assistant principal, and RG says, "I am still looking for the person who brought the charges against the assistant principal." And it's very easy to see that the assistant principal is a Black woman. And she's on the hook now for money that she will never, ever be able to pay. And that's the other thing too. These civil judgments are supposed to be, when the judge is allowing it, it's supposed to be within reason of what a person can reasonably pay. And come on, this assistant principal in Virginia has $10 million. She's going to be able to pay $10 million. Just not happening. Meanwhile, something very interesting happened a few days ago, and there is absolutely radio silence from the media. And I just stand to wonder. It involves Kim Kardashian. And I just wonder. No, I don't really wonder. I know that if it was Jordan Woods, it'd be tabloid fodder forever, and pushing for more of an investigation, pushing for some even an indictment of some sort. But it's Kim Kardashian. Kardashian. So, for those who don't know, they found like $10 million worth of drugs in her Skims shipment. I'm gonna let Shula King tell us more about it because this is absolutely insane. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, they said that Kim Kardashian Skims clothing line, like a clothing shipment, was used to hide and transport $9 million worth of booger sugar. Smiggity smack. Which is like wow to me. This is right here lets you know how money works, how power, money, connections work. How do you say? You found $9 million worth of that white stuff. And in somebody's, to say this is being smuggled in somebody's stuff, and you don't even ask them nothing. Not saying that she's a part of that. I'm just saying you ain't asked them nothing. Because I know if I was to order some my merchandise and have it being shipped to my house, and the police dogs sniff it and they see the address, I know the police coming to me. I know that the lights will be on, handcuffs will be clicking and clacking. And I will then have to defend myself or figure out a way to get myself out of this. I know it. Different strokes for different folks.
100%. 100%. Not even a knock on her door. Not even a let me reach out to her lawyer. No investigation, no talk of it, and that's from the law enforcement side. Nothing from mainstream media. Nothing. He said 9 million. Reports say it was 10 million. One report. I think it was only one report about it, and that was TMZ. And then they left it alone quickly, of course. No questions. Oh, it's Kardashian. She whatever. And again, there's absolutely no evidence to suggest that she is involved in wrongdoing. But having said that, as the Shula King said, if that was him, if that was, as I said, if that was like, another, I say Jordan Woods, because, she's an influencer. Heck, if it was Halle Berry, come on. She'd be sitting in the Beverly Hills Police Department in the sweat room. I mean, they'd give her tea and crumpets while in the Beverly Hills Police Department, but she'd still be in the sweat room. Nothing. But y'all go ahead, keep supporting her and her kind. Maybe, the Skims product is so good. They ain't got no other products like that. They ain't got, sell that to somebody else. Black people continue to, we continue to make some decisions. Black parents across the country are shelling out thousands, tens of thousands, in some cases even more, taking out loans and stuff on elaborate prom send-offs that now resemble celebrity red carpet events. Some of them horse-drawn carriages, of course, luxury cars, private photographers, custom designer gowns, tuxedos, professional makeup, rented mansions. live DJ. Somebody, they show somebody with a helicopter. Um, there's nothing wrong with it, doing something, with a little style or whatever. But are we a little ridiculous? Because what the root found was that many of these folks are just, they're not really making. The parents that are doing this are struggling to make ends meet, but yet they find a way to do this. I mean, look at this. This is from just 2 years ago. This right here. He steps out in the helicopter. Prom. Helicopter. Oh yeah. You're a 17, 18-year-old. This is helicopter, y'all. It's all about me. and then, and then you got this. This is how they send off this guy. His, they got big photos of his billboards, basically, of his date. It's it's just amazing stuff that's going on. According to the root, many of the families say the pressure to create the ultimate prom experience has spiraled into a full-blown financial arms race fueled by Instagram, TikTok, and the desire to give Black teenagers a moment of joy. That's too much money for a moment. Give them status. Status with who? If you got to put on airs, come on, y'all know the rest. Y'all know the rest. Whoa! Look at this.
This ain't what you.
I don't even need to hear it. RG said, I skipped prom and went to the club instead. $20 well spent. What are we doing? And what is that saying to the child? Well, how that's building up this sense of entitlement, isn't it? I keep going back to the helicopter. First of all, I ain't never get in a helicopter. If you ever heard that I was in a helicopter, that it just means that I'm at the nearby hospital. They were airlifting me. I I mean, this makes for nice pictures, nice moment, and it's just a moment. What do you do for that child's wedding at that point when the child finally gets married? Because you gotta outdo the prom, don't you? So you done flew him in the helicopter. You got, a Rolls Royce. You rented a Rolls Royce for 25 grand, which you could have bought a whole car, a whole brand new car for. What are you doing for the other stuff? Prom. What are you doing for graduation? Forget the way. That's just the prom. I mean, what's your thoughts? It's just over the top ridiculousness. They say, for some parents, according to the root, the cost of these prom things rivals a wedding, as I said. House down payment. Families, they say, are draining their savings account. They're taking on debt. They're sacrificing necessities just to keep up with the Joneses on the prom situation. Up southbound, he said, let's keep track of the kids and see how many graduate college. Yeah, how about that? That seems to be your high school prom. what have you really accomplished? For me, I mean, high school, certainly it was getting out of high school. I remember getting out of high school being such a relief. You were happy. I was happy. But you realize you still had schooling left. You still had either schooling left or you had work. You had to get a job or something. How about graduating college? How about getting that might be, I mean, even that, I don't see helicopters and Rolls Royces. I mean, it's wow. I'm almost speechless when I was looking at the Roots story on this, and they were talking about um, the helicopters and the everybody got to outdo the next person for the prom send off. This is just a send off, and they're getting these tailor made outfits in which they only gonna wear it one time. One time. Where else you go? Where else are you going to go and in your Beyonce and Michael Jackson outfits? Yeah, Michael Jackson style outfits. Michael only wore them on stage. Beyonce wears them in concert. It's like, come on. Where you, where you going with that? South Mountain said, LL Cool J said, ain't no future in fronting. Right. 100%. Because and that's all it's about. Front. It's nothing wrong with you buying a nice outfit. You know, someone buying a nice outfit for their child, for their prom, you know, renting a SUV or something. And you don't even have to do that anymore. You got Uber. You can get the Uber Black. Remember back in the day, you know the style. You know, if you really wanted to go all out, you rented a limo. Now you get ain't no sense. You got Uber Black. You doing all this for prom, and I'm with Southbound. Keep track of how many gonna graduate college, or go on to do a whole lot of meaningful stuff. Hey, come on, black folks, do better. You're like you're so judgmental. It's just frustrating because you know that, and then you read the story, you recognize, like the Root said, they're going into debt, they're depleting their life savings with all that's going on in this crazy world with this country, and you want to spend tens of thousands of dollars to send for a prom send off. Yeah, I'm gonna judge that every day. I mean, this listen, folks, we living in Jim Crow 2.0, and maybe that's why they do it. Maybe that's why they do it. Maybe to get it's a temporary relief from what's really going on, but at the same time, it's a permanent relief of your finances when you do stuff like this. I'm trying to keep like RNG a little bit under the mattress so that if push does come to shove, I can hightail it to Canada or China or somewhere. Right? I mean, come on. Imagine next month and something catastrophic happens, some emergency happens, or man, I'm a little short on rent, a little short on mortgage. I just spent all that money on the prom. I saw this happen in person years and years ago. One of the great examples of why I don't I just don't get. I've never, even as a kid, never got worked up over holidays. But I don't do them at all. And but I saw firsthand. This was a long time ago, and some stopped by a friend's house. They doing a whole holiday Christmas thing, and one person and his wife got into a knockdown drag out because they realized, and this is a true story, that they were blaming each other as they opening Christmas gifts with a whole bunch of people in the house, realized that somebody spent the rent money on a gift. And I just shook my head. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Southbound says kids are really about to find out about not equal is all about what equal is all about, what not being equal is all about. But you'd hate for any of these families that's doing this. You'd hate to think that they run into a situation where, because it's only going to cause resentment, and a lot of these are young parents, and and they think that way, and they think the way this generation thinks. It's only going to cause resentment in some cases against their own child, but it's not the child's fault. This is what you did. I'm, you see the calamity. There's a scripture that says, "Shrewd is the one who sees the calamity and proceeds to conceal himself." Yeah, this is crazy. It's crazy work, as they say. Mm. Oh boy, it's Friday. It's the weekend, and oh gosh, this whole prom send off thing is. It was one of those days when I came across it. I was like, "Come on, this is absolutely ridiculous." It's nice. I've always liked to do nice things. My kids will say, they'll term some of it as over the top or fancy. Um, you'd like to do that for your kid. And but certain things, come on, aren't there limits? Aren't there limits? Some I want to also ask this question before. Yeah, it's Friday. This is an entertainment uh, type of vibe now, I guess. But you remember Randy Jackson, not Michael Jackson's brother, but Randy Jackson from American Idol. What in the world is he not well, or is this like Ozempic, or overuse of those weight loss drugs or something? Again, I'm going to turn to the Shula King for this one.
I just want to let all y'all know who doing the Ozempic. That's enough. This is enough. Hey, this Randy. Randy. I don't know if that's what Randy doing. I don't know if he had a surgery. I don't know. I'm just using this picture to tell y'all, if y'all doing the Ozempic, you understand? The Ozempic worked too good. That's my problem with it. It worked too damn good at this point. There ain't nobody supposed to lose weight in their nose. That's your nose. Ain't nothing but bone in there. I seen somebody that I used to know, they lost weight in the nose. That's enough. There's a difference between losing weight and decomposition. That's enough. All right. We can stop. Like what? At what point? What is it like? When you saying you trying to lose weight? Are we getting to what is the goal? Y'all walking in the doctor's office saying, "Hey, I want to get to what is the perfect body weight to where I can wipe my butt with a Q-tip." Is that what we're doing? That is enough.
That is enough. And I'm I was trying to figure out too, and I have been looking as to whether this is a sickness or not. So, and here's information on Randy Jackson. It says he successfully maintained a weight loss of over 100 pounds for nearly 2 decades. His transformation began with a gastric bypass surgery in 2003, following a type 2 diabetes diagnosis, and he has sustained his healthier frame through targeted lifestyle, diet, and mental health choices. He underwent surgery in 2003 when he was 350 pounds. He says it was a crucial jump starter to take off the initial weight. He said he was motivated to make serious changes after his type 2 diabetes diagnosis and a concerning blood sugar reading of over 500. So this is about the weight. Diabetes is no joke, obviously. But what he looks like there, and apparently those pictures are authentic. That was the other thing. I was like, okay, this is AI or something. But they say he co-founded a nutrition company to help others who are also struggling with their weight. If that's how they're gonna look, I'm just not down with your nutrition company, Randy. He just returned. This is why you're seeing a lot of them this month to American Idol. Remember, he left in 2014. I haven't watched it since early 2000s. It's just useless show now. But come on, what happened to the dude? They say, "Come on, dog." I mean, this guy is just not. That's just too much. You got to be kidding me. And again, there was nothing to refute that that's an authentic photo of him now as he looks. I just don't get it. And listen, to be fair, I've seen folks who have taken the weight loss drugs and they look great. They're doing it right. I don't know what Randy Jackson has gotten himself into. He looks like a patient. Well, good health to you, Randy. I don't know him personally. He seemed cool on American Idol years and years and years ago. But good health to you. It's the weekend. If you're in the Northeast corridor, expect more rain. Y'all seen those floods in New York? I tell you who got flooded in New York. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Knicks up 2 games to nothing, Orangey. Halfway to the finals. I know they got to go to a very hostile Cleveland arena on Saturday Saturday and Monday. Probably won't get the same on the road home experience like you got in Philadelphia last series, where Knicks fans dominated that arena. That's not happening in Cleveland. You also got to again battle these horrible officials. Yep, the Knicks are trying to reverse their curse. Orangey says. So they got to fight against the Cavs home court, and the officials like San Antonio has to do with Oklahoma City. It's pathetic. That the best thing that could happen to the NBA is San Antonio defeating Oklahoma City in that series. The best thing that could happen to this league. Oklahoma City is an absolute disgrace of a team. Southbound says it's probably true. My best friend lost all his teeth, has damaged sore to constantly back and forth to the doctor. Diabetes ain't no joke. Yeah. Yeah, he said, Randy Jackson said his blood sugar was over 500. Whew. He was near death. 500? Wow. But anyway, whatever you do this weekend, do it well and do it safe. Come back and we'll see you again next week. I'm gonna have the Bell Project again for the last time in a little while anyway. On Tuesday, Bell Disruptor. Talking about Bell Disruption. So we'll have that on Tuesday. I mentioned Memphis Jokes. I got to talk with him. We'll get him on and have some fun with the great Memphis Jokes. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.
Let's go! Let's go, Flav. Hey!